you shared a few things, but who or what has shaped your analysis when it comes to this work? I know you mentioned some mentors. I know you mentioned a relationship with your father.
Yeah, it's been different people. I don't have a single part of my life that there weren't people with way more experience willing to give their time and their emotional capacity to help me understand things, to hug me, to educate and motivate. So I think that different stages of the process, like I mentioned, Arnie Smith Alexander, when it comes to education and working with high school students, she was really important, and as well as Heath. When it came to working in Mexico, a lot of the communities, so we stayed in 3 communities in Mexico with our students. Each one of those communities, there were powerful educator organizers that I became closer and closer with every time I went back. And they're still close. I'm still close with to this day. And I respect them so much of what they continue to teach me. And so with regards to Mexico, economics and the sort of, I would say more like meta systems or macroeconomic systems analyses, so much of that came like in Mexico in particular, but in Spanish speaking countries in general, people will ask you, or if you're an activist or an organizer, they'll say, ¿Cuál es tu formación política? What is your political formation? And that question became so constant in my experience in Mexico that I'm like, we don't really ever ask that. And so you just asked that. So I think maybe more people than I know ask that in English, but in Mexico, it's really important for people to identify like, how did you come to see the world the way you do? Where did your
Mm,
analysis and so mine was really born out of those crucial experiences with friends and mentors at Grand Valley on, we were fighting for domestic partner benefits at Grand Valley. So I got to meet a lot of incredible gay and queer people fighting for that, for benefits at Grand Valley. We lost that campaign because the Board of Control at the time, as it was called at Grand Valley, said that it wasn't right for our community. And we were so livid. It was so upsetting. So each part of my life, the abundance of people who care about the things that they're fighting against and for just bring me in. Yeah, it's just really palpable. Mia Henry, who you and I met through
Mia is
that
incredible.
event.
I would just say Mia is incredible. Just incredible. Just an incredible person. Oh, just awesome. Yes.
She's amazing. I told her about this interview and she said to say hello and she didn't know about your podcast. She was like, send me the podcast. So I just sent her the link this
Oh,
morning.
okay. I'm gonna message
Yeah.
her because Mia was also someone that I was hoping that I could talk to about this. So I'm gonna
Oh my
contact
God.
Mia. I'm hoping I can have her too onto the show. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. But yes, for folks who
Yeah.
are listening and even for Mia, yeah, Mia is incredible, really important, wonderful person.
And she's done incredible work in Chicago before went to K College. But when I got to Kalamazoo College and got set up there, and I had this background of doing I would say, pretty left of center, like organizing and educating. And I came to K and I knew it was a different environment. One of my coworkers at the CIP, after my interview, brought me to the Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership. And Lizbeth Mendoza Pineda, she brought me there and it wasn't part of the planned itinerary. She thought based on my resume and what I was interested in that I would want to see that. And I went there and it became a second home for me. I loved
Yeah.
going to events. I loved the sense of community that Mia and Dr. Brock had created there. And so I started going to a lot of events at the Arcus Center, including the one that you and I met at, which I only became aware of because of hanging out at the Arcus Center and hearing about all their events. So I would go to events where she was facilitating, and I had never, ever seen just such masterful like
My
facilitation and
goodness.
combining brilliance with absolute accessible humanity, human centering accessibility.
I
Like
would agree. Absolutely.
one of the most towering, most intelligent women and
Mhm.
humans I've met in my life. And every place I went and saw her speak, or anytime I went to have a conversation or a workshop with her, I was just always taking notes. I was like, oh my God, how she do that? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal. Using no, it's like for teaching, for organizing. So she is just a near and dear mentor, friend, in that I am so thankful for her because it was like a foundational. experience to have at Grand Valley with her, with Arcus, and then with you and that group of people that were pulled together to go learn about projects in Chicago as well. And
That's
yeah,
right.
she has been a mentor as well. So
That's right.
those are just many other folks I haven't named, but yeah.
That's right, and this is your social justice origin story, but as you were sharing about that, I'm just going back to that place, and, yeah, again, I can't say enough about Mia. I wanna be like Mia too. I do what everything you said about facilitation and the way oh my goodness, just I've never forgotten it, stayed with me, and yeah, just wonderful. So you said a few things about Mia, you mentioned some others. If somehow, some way they had a chance to come across this recording or because there may be some experiences across the totality of our lives where there might not be those folks where we are necessarily in contact with them that we can get in contact and say it. But if somehow they heard this recording, or if you did have a chance to say something to them in terms of gratitude across those experiences, what would you say? What would you say to them?
Really grateful. It's not like a gratefulness that I had for that stage of my life. I still think about lessons that they taught me and their openness and their hearts. And it's such a motivating factor for me. I to this day, I just can't. Like there is a self-perpetuating thing now with whatever current issues are coming up that I have a sensitivity to that I'll be like, oh my God, what? Luz Rivera, who's a mentor and an organizer in Tlaxcala, Mexico, whenever we would do speaking tours around the US, I would be driving and I would do interpreting for her talk that she would give. And we get to a town and she always wanted to know. We arrive in a town, she was like, who's the biggest employer in this town? What's the biggest industry? Where do people work here? And her frame on that was always thinking about workers in a way that I'd never lived my life like that. And so I have these frames because of these kinds of lessons that I owe so much to that I think about regularly. And I'm so thankful. And I've used this analogy before, but I said it in front of the Kalamazoo City Council one time we were fighting against that racist statue in Bronson Park. But the amount of effort it takes to rear someone that's had any commitment to long-term struggle for social justice issues, the amount of energy and effort it takes to rear someone into that, and in particular, someone like me who came from a background of being from rural Michigan and didn't have parents who were like super politically like active or involved is a lot. It's a lot of work. And I would say the ratio of how much time you put into the amount of like benefit, you could say, is not great. I think there is a fad to some causes that people can get into and people invest time in people and then they end up what I call like going back to swim with the mainstream and then they're not invested in
Yeah.
those lot of people that we lose and we lose in that way. And I think that people know that. And so when they're always taking some sort of risk of, yeah, I'll teach you, you can learn with me and whatnot. And actually, if folks are pretty sober about this, like there's a good chance that they might not care about it anymore. And I think that's so saddening and disheartening. And that just speaks to the endurance and resilience of people in struggle and people who are fighting is that they're willing to take a chance on people. And what I've been told is you're like actively wanting to learn more and you're still
Mhm.
showing up. And I'm like, I show up in part because of you, but also because I believe in it because you've convinced me. Like that's been internalized, but you have to remain accountable. That's the other thing is that I think any plan that's now these are my politics. I'll believe in these politics no matter what happens in my life is hogwash. That's not how psychology or communication works. Like it's through accountability to the very people that influenced you.
Mm.
You're accountable to them. And if you see that as a beautiful accountability, it's not the same as feeling guilty. It's feeling, no, I owe this in not a negative way. I owe this in the sense of, yeah, people have invested in me. So
People have invested in me. Yeah, yeah. So it's honoring that time, that commitment, that investment.